agitated by Cupid when Krishna playfully glances at us, stand as still as trees, unaware that our hair and garments are slackening. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Here, Mother Yasoda is no longer in the company of the gopis, who are confidentially describing their conjugal attraction for Sri Krishna. It is clear from the comments of Jiva Goswami and other acharyas that the statements in this chapter were made at various times and places. This is natural since the gopis were always absorbed in thoughts of Sri Krishna day and night. Text 18 and 19. Now Krishna is standing somewhere counting his cows on a string of gems. He wears a garland of tulsi flowers that bear the fragrance of his beloved, and he has thrown his arm over the shoulder of an affectionate cowherd boyfriend. As Krishna plays with his flute and sings, the music attracts the black deer's wives. The music attracts the black deer's wives, who approach that ocean of transcendental qualities and sit down beside him. Just like us cowherd girls, they have given up all hope for happiness in family life. Purport Srila Jiva Goswami explains that in the afternoon, Sri Krishna dressed himself in new clothing and then went out to call the cows home. Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti gives the following information about the transcendental cows of Vrindavan. For each of the four colors of cows, white, red, black, and yellow, there are 25 subdivisions, making a total of 100. 100 COL 100 Kalo COLLOW.
Yes, Maharaj.
Kalo.
Hello.
Yeah. There are yeah. There are 25 subdivisions, making a total of 100 colors and such qualities as being colored, like sandalwood pulp, tilaka, speckled, or having a head shaped like a mridanga drum, create 8 further groups. To have to let's see. Two or having a head shaped like a mridanga drum, create 8 further groups. To count these 108 groups of cows, distinguished by color and form, Krishna is using a string of 108 jewel beads. Thus, when Krishna calls out, "Hey, Davali," the name of a white cow, a whole group of white cows come forward. And when he calls, Hamsi, Chandani, Ganga, Mukta, and so on, the 24 other groups of white cows come. The reddish cows are called Aruni. Kuma, Saraswati, etc., etc. The blackish ones, Shyamala, Dumala, Yamuna, etc., and the yellowish ones, Pita, Pingala, Har, Harita, like, etc. Those in the group with the tilaka marks on their foreheads are called Chitrita, Chitrita tilaka, Dirga tika, and Tiryak tika. And there are groups known as Midanga Mukhi or Mridanga head, Simha Mukhi or lion head, and so on. Thus, being called by name, the cows are coming forward, and Krishna thinking that when it is time to bring them back home, bring them back from the forest, none should be forgotten, is counting them on his jewel beads. Okay. Text 20 and 21. O sinless Yasoda, your darling child, the son of Maharaja Nanda, has festively enhanced his attire with a jasmine garland, and he is now playing along the Yamuna in the company of the cows and the cowherd boys, amusing his dear companions. The gentle breeze honors him with its soothing fragrance of sandalwood, while the various upadevas, standing on all sides like panegirists, offer their music, singing, and gifts of tribute. Purport. Srila Jiva Goswami explains that the gopis are again in the courtyard of Mother Yasoda, the queen of Vraja. They are trying to encourage her by describing Krishna's return to Vrindavana after he has spent the day herding cows and playing. Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti comments that the Upadevas, the minor demigods mentioned here, include the Gandharvas, who are famous for their celestial music and dancing. Text 22 and 23. Out of great affection for the cows of Rajan, Krishna became the lifter of Govardhan Hill. At the end of the day, having rounded up all his own cows, he plays a song on his flute, while exalted demigods standing along the path worship his lotus feet, and the cowherd boys accompanying him chant his glories. His garland is powdered by the dust raised by the cows' hooves, and his beauty, enhanced by his fatigue, creates an ecstatic festival for everyone's eyes. Eager to fulfill his friend's desires, Krishna is the moon arisen from the womb of Mother Yasoda. Purports by Srila Prabhupada. According to the Acharyas, at this point, the gopis climbed into the watchtowers of Vrindavana's houses, so they could see Krishna as soon as possible when he returned home. Mother Yasoda was very anxious for her son to come back, and therefore she had the tallest of the beautiful young gopis climb up to see when he would arrive. It is implied here that Krishna was somewhat delayed on the way home because his lotus feet were being worshipped by great demigods along the paths. Harivilas. 24 and 25. As Krishna respectfully greets his well wishing friends, his eyes roll slightly as if from intoxication. He wears a flower garland, and the beauty of his soft cheeks is accentuated by the brilliance of his golden earrings and the whiteness of his face, which has the color of a badara berry. I've never seen a badara berry. With his cheerful face resembling the moon, Lord of the night, the Lord of the Yadus moves with the grace of a regal elephant. Thus, he returns in the evening, delivering the cows of Raja from the heat of the day. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The word gavam is constructed from the Sanskrit word go, which means cow or senses. Thus, Sri Krishna, by coming back to the village of Vraja, relieved the inhabitants of Vrindavana from the distress their eyes and other senses felt during the day because of being separated from direct contact with him meaning Krishna. Text 26. Sri Sukadeva Goswami said, O king, thus during the daytime the women of Vrindavana took pleasure in continuously singing about the pastimes of Krishna, and those ladies' minds and hearts, absorbed in him, were filled with great festivity. That's very nice. Purport. This verse definitely confirms that the so-called pain of the heartbroken gopis is actually great spiritual bliss. On the material platform, pain is pain, period. But on the spiritual platform, so-called pain is simply a different variety of spiritual ecstasy. In the Western countries, people take pleasure in mixing different flavors of ice cream. Hey, I like that ice cream today.
Yes, Maharaj.
To produce wonderful combinations of flavor. Similarly, on the spiritual platform, Sri Krishna and his devotees expertly mix the flavors of spiritual bliss, and thus every day was a treat for the gopis. Jai. Okay. Thus end the purports of the humble servants of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, to the 10th canto, 35th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Gopis Sing of Krishna as He Wanders in the Forest. Harivilas. Now we go to chapter 36. The slaying of Arista, the bull demon. Oh my God, so many demons. This chapter describes how Krishna killed Aristasura and how Kamsa reacted when he learned from Narada that Krishna and Balarama were the sons of Vasudeva. The demon Arista wanted to kill Krishna and Balarama, and thus he assumed the form of a huge bull with sharp horns. Everyone in Krishna's cowherd village became terrified when Aristasura approached it. But the Lord pacified them, and when the bull demon charged him, he seized him by the horns and threw him about 6 yards. Though weakened, Arista still wanted to attack Krishna. Thus, dripping with sweat, he charged the Lord once again. This time, Krishna grabbed his horns, threw him to the ground, and thrashed him like a pile of wet clothing. The demon vomited blood and gave up his life. Jai Haribol. Then Krishna and Rama, while being honored by the demigods and cowherd boys, returned to the village. A short time later, Narada Muni, the great sage among the demigods, came to see King Kamsa. He informed the king that Krishna and Balarama were not Nanda's sons, but rather Vasudeva's. It was out of fear of Kamsa that Vasudeva had put the two boys under Nanda's care. Furthermore, said Narada, Kamsa would meet his death at their hand. Kamsa shook with fear and anger. When he heard all this, and in great agitation, he began thinking of how to destroy Krishna and Balarama. He called for the demons Shanura and Mustika and instructed them to kill the two brothers in a wrestling match. Then he spoke to Akura, who was expert at executing his duties. Taking Akura by the hand, Kamsa persuaded him to go to Raja to bring the two boys to Mathura. Akura agreed to carry out Kamsa's order and then returned home. Text number 1. Wait a second. Sukadeva Goswami said, the demon Arista then came to the cowherd village, appearing in the form of a bull with a large hump. He made the earth tremble as he tore it apart with his hooves. Purports. According to the Sri Vishnu Purana, Aristasura entered Krishna's village at twilight as the Lord prepared to dance with the gopis. Prasodar Sade Kadachitu Rasas Sakte Janardane Tras Ayan Sa Madho Kostam Arista Sampagata. Once midway through the period of dusk, when Lord Janardana was eager to perform the rasa dance, Aristasura madly entered the cowherd village, terrifying everyone. Text number 2. Aristasura bellowed very harshly and pawed the ground with his tail raised and his eyes glaring. He began to tear up the embankments with the tips of his horns, every now and then passing a little stool and urine. Oh my God. I'm not allowed to do that. Text 3 and 4. My dear king, Clouds hovered about sharp-horned Aristasura's hump, mistaking it for a mountain. And when the cowherd men and ladies caught sight of the demon, they were struck with terror. Indeed, the strident reverberations of his roar so frightened the pregnant cows and women that they lost their fetuses in miscarriages. Oh, so very sorry about that. Purport. The Vedic literature categorizes miscarriages as follows. Al Chatur Dahad Bhavet Srava Pata Panchama Sastayo Ata Urdavam Prasuti Syat. Up to the fourth month, a premature delivery is called Shrava. In the fifth and sixth month, it is called Pata. And after this, it is considered a birth, Prasuti. Text number 5. The domestic animals fled the pasture in fear, O king, and all the inhabitants rushed to Lord Govinda for shelter, crying, Krishna, Krishna. Text 6. When the Supreme Lord saw the cowherd community distraught and fleeing in fear, he calmed them, saying, Don't be afraid. Then he called out the bull demon as follows. Text 7. Gopala Pasurbir Manda Trasitai Kim Asatama Maishastari Dustanam Tlad Vidhanam Durakmanam. You fool, what do you think you're doing? You wicked rascal, frightening the cowherd community and their animals when I am here just to punish corrupt miscreants like you? Wonderful, wonderful. Jai, Jai. Text 8. Having spoken these words, the infallible Lord, but he slapped his arms with his palms, further angering Arista with the loud sound. The Lord then casually threw his mighty serpentine arm over the shoulder of a friend and stood facing the demon. Purport. Lord Krishna showed his contempt for the ignorant demon. Text 9. Thus provoked, Arista pawed the ground with one of his hooves, and then, with the clouds hovering around his upraised tail, he furiously charged Krishna. Now that's a dumb thing to do. You don't charge Krishna. Text 10. Pointing the tips of his horns straight ahead and glaring menacingly at Lord Krishna from the corners of his bloodshot eyes, Arista pushed toward him at full speed, like a thunderbolt hurled by Indra. That sounds dangerous, very dangerous. Text 11. The Supreme Lord Krishna seized Aristasura by the horn and threw him back 18 steps, just as an elephant might do when fighting a rival elephant. Okay. Thus repulsed by the Supreme Lord, the bull demon got up and breathing hard and sweating all over his body, again charged him in a mindless rage. Text 13. As Arista attacked, Lord Krishna seized him by the horns and knocked him to the ground with his foot. The Lord then thrashed him as if he were a wet cloth, and finally he yanked out one of the demon's horns and struck him with it until he lay prostrate. Prostrate. Text 14. Vomiting blood, oh boy, and profusely excreting stool and urine, kicking his legs and rolling his eyes about, Aristasura thus went painfully to the abode of death. The demigods honored Lord Krishna by scattering flowers upon him. Well, so much for Aristasura. Text 15. Having thus killed the bull demon Aristas, he who is a festival for the gopis' eyes entered the cowherd village with Balarama. Purports by Srila Prabhupada. This verse exemplifies the sublime contrast of spiritual qualities within Sri Krishna. In one 4-line verse, we simultaneously learn that Lord Krishna killed a powerful and wicked demon, and that his boyish beauty gave festive pleasure to his young girlfriends. Lord Krishna is as hard as a thunderbolt or as soft as a rose, depending on our attitude toward him. And I like that. Depending on our attitude toward him. The demon Arista wanted to kill Krishna and all his friends. So the Lord beat him into a wet rag and killed him. The gopis, however, loved Krishna, and thus the Lord boyishly reciprocated their conjugal feelings. Text 16. After Aristasura had been killed by Krishna, who acts wonderfully, Narada Muni went to speak to King Kamsa. That powerful sage of godly vision addressed the king as follows. Yeah, but Kamsa is like a demon. Let's see what he says. Purports. The term Deva Darshana can be understood in many ways, all of which are consistent with the context and purport of this narration. Deva means God, and Darshana means seeing, or an audience with a great personality. Thus, Deva Darshana, a name for Narada Muni, indicates that Narada has attained the perfection of seeing God, that getting Narada's audience is as good as getting God's, since Narada is a pure representative of the Lord, and also that Narada's audience is as good as that of the demigods, who are also known as devas. That there are all these meanings of the term Deva Darshana reveals something of the richness of the Srimad Bhagavatam's language. From the Puranas, Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura has quoted 20 verses describing a joking conversation between Radha and Krishna that took place after Krishna had killed the demon Arista. This conversation, so kindly quoted by the Acharya, describes the origin of Radha Kunda and Shyama Kunda, Radha's and Krishna's bathing ponds. The verses are as follows. Masman Sprissadya Risha Vardhana Hanta Muda Goro Suro Yam Ai Krishna Tad Api Ayam Go Vitro Yata Divija Ihasti Ai Niskirti Kim Sudayed Bhavams Tri Bhuvana Stita Tirtha Kricharat. The innocent young gopis said, Ah, Krishna, don't touch us now. O killer of a bull! Alas, even though Arista was a terrible demon, still he was a male cow. So you will have to undergo the atonement, just as the Lord Indra did after killing Vitrasura. But how can you purify yourself without going to the trouble of visiting every single holy place in the three worlds? Kim paryatam bhuvan nani adhun naiva sarva aniya tirtha vitaiti karavani tasu snanam vilokayata tavat idam mukunda prochiyaiva tatra kritavan bata parsani gatam. Krishna replied, why should I have to wander throughout the entire universe? I will at once bring all the countless pilgrimage places here and take my bath in them. Just watch. With this, Lord Mukunda struck his heel on the ground. Palato jalam idam kila bodhavakya ayatam atra nikila api tirtha sangha agat cheta teti bhagavat vachasa ta etya tatraiva rejur artha Krishna uvacha gopi. Then he said, this is the water of the Bhogavati river, coming from the Patala region. And now, O holy places, all of you please come here. When the Supreme Lord has spoken these words, all the holy places went there and appeared before him. Krishna then addressed the gopis as follows. Tirtani pasyati harir vachasa tavai vam naiva patima itita ata tirta varya prochu kirtanjali puta lavan abdir asmi shirabdira asmi Shrinuta Mara Durgi Kasmi. See all the holy places. But the gopis replied, we don't see them as you describe. Then those best of holy places, joining their palms in supplication, spoke up. I am the salt ocean. I am the ocean of milk. I am the Amara Dirgika. Sono pi sindur aham asmi bhavami tamra parni cha pushkaram aham cha sarvati cha. Godavari Ravi Sutta Sarayu Prayago Re Vasmi Pasyata Jalam Kuruta Pratitim. I'm sorry. I am the river Sona. I am the Sindhu. I am the Tamparparni. I am the holy place Pushkara. I am the river Saraswati. And we are the Godavari, we are the Godavari, Yamuna, and Reva rivers, and the confluence of rivers at Prayaga. Just see our waters. Snatva Tato Harir Ati Praga Praja Gab Galva Eva Sudha Saropi Akar Avam Stita Sarvam Tirtam Yusmabir Atma Janusti Ha Krito Na Dharma Kopi Kisit Tav Ata Shaktir Nij Agada Rada. After purifying himself by bathing, Lord Hari became quite arrogant and said, I have produced a pond containing all the various holy places, whereas you, gopis, must never have executed any religious duties on this earth for the pleasure of Lord Brahma. Then Srimati Radharani addressed her girlfriends as follows. I must create an even more beautiful pond. So go to the work. So go to work. Having heard these words, the gopis saw that Aristasura's hooves had dug a shallow ditch just west of Sri Krishna's pond. At that nearby spot, all the gopis began digging up lumps of soft mud with their hands. And in this way, a divine pond manifested in the short span of an hour. Krishna was astonished to see the lake they produced. He said, Go ahead, lotus-eyed one. You and your companions should fill this pond with water from mine. But Radha replied, No, 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 no. This is impossible since the water of your pond is contaminated by your terrible sin of killing a cow. I will have my countless gopi companions bring the pure water of the Manasa Ganga here in billions of pots. In this way, I will fill this lake with my own water and thus make it renowned, unequaled in the entire world. Oh boy, gopis know what they're doing. Lord Krishna then gestured to a heavenly personality who was an intimate associate of all the holy places. Suddenly, that person rose up out of Krishna's pond and bowed down to the daughter of Sri Rishabhanu, Radharani. Then, with palms joined and tears pouring from his eyes, he began praying to her in devotion. O goddess, even Lord Brahma himself, the knower of all scriptures, cannot understand your glories, nor can Lord Shiva or Lakshmi. Only Krishna, the supreme goal of all human endeavor, can understand them, and thus he feels obliged to personally make sure that you can wash away your perspiration when you are fatigued. He is always anointing your lotus feet with nectarian karu and yavaka and decorating them with ankle bells. And he rejoices and feels most fortunate simply by satisfying the tips of the toes of your lotus feet. On his order, we have immediately come here to live in this most excellent pond, which he created by one stroke of his heel. But only if you now feel satisfied with us and bestow upon us your merciful glance will the tree of our desire bear fruit. Hearing this prayer spoken by the representative of the full assembly of holy places, Sri Radha was pleased and said, "So, kindly tell me your desire." They then told her plainly, "Our lives would be successful if we could come to your pond. That is the benediction we desire." Glancing at her beloved from the corners of her eyes, the daughter of Rishabhanu replied with a smile, "Please come." Here, Gopi companions all agreed with her decision and became immersed in the ocean of happiness. Indeed, the beauty of all creatures, both mobile and stationary, was enhanced. Thus, gaining the grace of Srimati Radharani, the holy rivers and lakes in Krishna Kunda forcibly broke through its boundary walls and swiftly filled Radha Kunda with their waters. Lord Hari then said, "My dear Radha, may this pond of yours become even more world renowned than mine. I will always come here to bathe and to enjoy my water pastimes. Indeed, this lake is as dear to me as you are." Radha replied, "I will come to bathe in your pond as well, even though you may kill hundreds of Avista demons here. In the future, anyone who has intense devotion for this lake, which is on the spot where you chastised Aristasura, and who bathes or resides here, is sure to become very dear to me." That night, Lord Krishna initiated a rasa dance at Radha Kunda, generating a torrent of the greatest mood of splendorous pleasure. Sri Krishna resembles a cloud, and Srimati Radharani a brilliant flash of lightning, filling the sky with abundant beauty. In this way, their divine glories permeated the expanses of the three worlds. As a final note, it should be mentioned that Narada Muni, being a great sage, understood that the killing of Arista more or less concluded the pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan. Therefore, Narada, anxious to facilitate the transfer of Krishna's pastimes to Mathura, approached Kamsa and addressed him as follows. Text 17. Narada told Kamsa, Yasoda's child was actually a daughter, and Krishna is the son of Devaki. Also, Rama is the son of Rohini. Out of fear, Vasudeva entrusted Krishna and Balarama to his friend Nanda Maharaj. And it is these two boys who have killed your men. Purport. Kamsa had been led to believe that Krishna was the son of Yasoda and that Devaki's eighth child had been a daughter. The identity of Devaki's eighth child was extremely important to Kamsa because a prophecy had foretold that her eighth child would kill him. Here, Narada informs the king that the eighth child of Devaki was the formidable Krishna, thus implying that the prophecy should be taken very seriously. Having received this information, Kamsa obviously will now do everything in his power to kill Krishna and Balarama. That's a demon. That's what demons do. Try and kill. Text 18. Upon hearing this, the master of the Bhojas became furious and lost control of himself. He picked up a sharp sword to kill Vasudeva. Text 19. But Narada restrained Kamsa by reminding him that it was the two sons of Vasudeva who would cause his death. Kamsa then had Vasudeva and his wife shackled in iron chains. Terrible. Purport. Kamsa realized that there was no use in killing Vasudeva, since it was Vasudeva's sons, Krishna and Balarama, who were to kill him. According to the Acharyas, Narada also advised Kamsa that if he killed Vasudeva and the two young boys, might flee, and that it was therefore better not to kill him. Rather, Narada recommended Kamsa should bring Krishna and Balarama to Kamsa's capital city, Mathura. Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura points out that Narada did not act inimically toward the great devotees, Vasudeva and Deva, when he revealed this information to Kamsa. In fact, as explained in the 11th canto, Vasudeva was grateful to Narada because he was arranging for Kamsa's death at Krishna's hands, and further arranging for Krishna to come and live in Mathura, where his loving father could associate with him. Text 20. After Narada left, King Kamsa summoned Keshi and ordered him, go kill Rama and Krishna. Oh boy, demons. Purport. Before having Krishna and Balarama brought to Mathura, Kamsa tried sending one more demon to Vrindavan. Text 21. The king of the Bhojas next called for his ministers, headed by Mustika, Shanura, Sala, and Tosha, all demons, and also for his elephant keepers. The king addressed them as follows. Text 22 to 23. My dear heroic Shanura and Mustika, both demons, please hear this. Rama and Krishna, the sons of Anakadundubi, or Vasudeva, are living in Nanda's cowherd village. It has been predicted that these two boys will be the cause of my death. When they are brought here, kill them on the pretext of engaging them in a wrestling match. Text 24. Erect a wrestling ring with many surroundings, viewing stands, and bring all the residents of the city and the outlying districts to see the open competition. Purports. The word mancha refers to platforms constructed by the large pillars, constructed with large pillars. Kamsa wanted a festive atmosphere so that Krishna and Balarama would not be afraid to come. Text 25. You, elephant keeper, my good man, should position the elephant Kuvalayapita at the entrance to the wrestling arena and have him kill my two enemies. Oh, very, very nefarious plans. Text 26. One second. Commence the bow sacrifice on the Chaturdasi day in accordance with the relevant Vedic injunctions. In ritual slaughter, offer the appropriate kinds of animals to the magnanimous Lord Shiva. Text 27. Having thus commanded his ministers, Kamsa next called for Akrura, the most eminent of the Yadus. Kamsa knew the art of securing personal advantage, and thus he took Akrura's hand in his own and spoke to him as follows. Text 28. My dear Akrura, most charitable one, please do me a friendly favor out of respect. Among the Poshas and Rishnis, there is no one else as kind to us as you. Boys, trying to uh, uh, he's trying to butter up Akrura. Text 29. Gentle Akrura, you always carry out your duties soberly, and therefore I am depending on you, just as powerful Indra took shelter of Lord Vishnu to achieve his goals. Text 30. Please go to Nanda's village, where the two sons of Akanda Dunduvi are living, and without delay bring them here in this chariot. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti gives the following interesting note. When King Kamsa said with his chariot, he pointed with his index finger to a brand new, attractive chariot. Kamsa thought that since Akrura was innocent by nature, when he saw this fine new vehicle, he would naturally want to drive it and quickly bring the two boys back. But the actual reason Akrura went on a new chariot was that it would have been clearly inappropriate for the Supreme Personality of Godhead to mount a chariot that had already been enjoyed by the wicked Kamsa. Okay. Text 31. The demigods who are under the protection of Vishnu have sent these two boys as my death. Bring them here, and also have Nanda and the other cowherd men come with gifts of tributes. Okay, text 32. After you bring Krishna and Balarama, I will have them killed by my elephant, who is as powerful as death itself. And if by chance they escape from him, I will have them killed by my wrestlers, who are as strong as lightning. So, two levels of killing Krishna. Text 33. When these two have been killed, I will kill Vasudeva and all their lamenting dwellings, the Vrishnis, Bhojas, and Dasartas. What a demoniac plan that is.
Mhm.
Perverts, even today, there are wicked political leaders throughout the world who make such plans and even carry them out. Yeah, that's a fact. That is definitely a fact. Text 34. I will also kill my old father, Ugrasena, who is greedy for my kingdom, and I will kill his brother, Devaka, and all my other enemies as well. He's going to do a lot of killing. That's what demons do. They like to kill. Text 35. Then, my friend, this earth will be free of thorns. You're the thorn, not the other. My elder relative, Jarasandha, and my dear friend, Divida, are solid well-wishers of mine, as are Sambara, Naraka, and Bana. I will use them all to kill off those kings who are allied with the demigods, and then I will rule the earth. Oh, well, good plan, but it's going to be a complete washout. Text 37. Now that you understand my intentions, please go at once and bring Krishna and Balarama to watch the bow sacrifice and see the opulence of the Yadu's capital. Text 38. Sri Akrura said, O king, you have expertly devised a process to free yourself of misfortune. Still, one should be equal in success and failure, since it is certainly destiny that produces the results of one's work. Text 39. An ordinary person is determined to act on his desires even when fate prevents them from fulfillment. Therefore, he encounters both happiness and distress. Yet, even though such is the case, I will execute your order. Well, that's a way of saying that you're going to be killed. Purport. Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti explains that although what Akrura said was courteous and encouraging, his hidden meaning was far different. What he really meant was this: your plan is not fit to execute, yet I will carry it out since you are the king and I am your subject. And in any case, you are about to die. Yeah. Text 40. Sukadeva Goswami said, having thus instructed Akrura, King Kamsa dismissed his ministers and retired to his quarters, and Akrura returned home. Thus end the purports of the humble servant of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada, to the 10th canto, 36th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled the slaying of Arista and the bull demon. Jai Shri Krishna Bhagavan
Ki Jai.
Hare
Krishna Hare Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. So that'll be the end now. And tomorrow we'll hear chapter 37, the killing of the demons Keshi and Yoma.
Haribo.
There's so many demons. It's unbelievable. What's amazing is there were a lot of demons before, but there are many more now. Okay, well, I think that's the end.
End of today's session. Any
There's never any end to this. Haribo.
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 Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Hare.
Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare.
All glories to the Vaishnava Acharyas and Srila Prabhupada, and especially Srila Prabhupada, who has spent all this time giving us all the nectar of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Thank you very much. All
Hare.
glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.